everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. This article has come out, yet another leak from Harry. A very, very telling one at that. Inside the total collapse of Harry and Charles's relationship. Initially, this was leaked to People magazine, the Sussexes' favorite place to give information and tidbits and leaks. A source close to Harry, wonder who that could be, says that Harry blames Charles for failing to act on the very real threat to Harry and his family's safety, saying if the king wanted, he could do this for his son. How out of touch can Harry possibly be? It just keeps getting worse. So it's no wonder that the king allegedly is no longer taking Harry's calls. According to another leak from Harry this week, Harry cannot get through to speak with his father on the phone. Let's take a look at what this article has to say. Harry holds this belief that his father is denying him automatic police protection in the UK. A source close to Harry said that the two are no longer speaking by phone and laid the blame for the unbelievable situation around Harry being denied automatic police security in the UK, despite a very real threat firmly at the feet of the king, adding if the king wanted, he could do this for his son. However, official sources at Buckingham Palace told the Daily Beast that it would be wholly inappropriate for the king to pull rank and attempt to influence the government committee, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, nicknamed RAVEC, which makes decisions about royals' personal protection. They added that these decisions were now a matter for the courts as Harry was litigating the matter. Now, Harry, with how litigious he is, should know that once you've initiated a lawsuit, neither side should be making comments to the press about the case, because it can be used against you in court. But Harry is still complaining through his sources. Harry blaming King Charles for this really makes no sense at all, because the same thing is true now as was when Megxit happened. The Queen did not interfere in RAVEC's decision. The King will not, has not, and should not interfere in RAVEC's decision. The two are separate. It's like that on purpose. Furthermore, Harry has made his own security situation worse by publishing, for example, just to name one, his kill count, alleged kill count, in his book Spare. For someone who's actually worried about security, you wouldn't want to be provoking people now, would ya? But that's just what Harry has done. Harry's camp accused Charles's team of gaslighting the public by saying on one hand that the king loves his son and wants to see more of him and his children, while at the same time denying him police protection that would make such visits possible on a regular basis. I can't read that without laughing. Harry cannot possibly believe that the king can control RAVEC's decisions and just give this security to him. He can't possibly believe that. That would make no sense. Also, Harry should not have police protection every single time he sets foot in the UK. That would make no sense. Princess Anne, Zara Tindall, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, none of these people have round-the-clock police security. Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie and Edward, they do not have round-the-clock police protection. All of these people have police protection only when they're doing like an actual formal engagement, like palace business, like they're actually out on a charity visit on behalf of the monarch, when they are filling in for King Charles or for Prince William or Princess Catherine. If they're attending something in an official capacity, they are on royal business, on a royal visit somewhere. Then they get automatic police protection for that visit, for that day. They don't just get it anytime they want. They don't have it all the time willy-nilly. Why the heck would Harry have it all the time? That maketh no sense. The only people with round-the-clock police protection, armed security guards, essentially is what that means. Prince and Princess of Wales and their kids, King Charles and Queen Camilla. Those are the only people in the royal family, correct me if I'm wrong, who have round-the-clock armed security police protection. So why would Harry get that? It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. And furthermore, to say that King Charles's team is gaslighting the public is laughable. Because who is gaslighting? Harry. Let's be clear. He is the one who was invited to stay on palace grounds and turned it down. He is the one who has been invited to things in the past and turned it down. Now the invites are drying up, but you could only invite somebody so many times before you give up. That's just normal. They also point to Charles evicting Harry from Frogmore as another thing playing into this problem. The source says the evidence is there clearly for everyone to see. He has been kicked out of the home that would have made it possible for him to come back on a regular basis by his own choosing. He and Meghan didn't come back to Frogmore for years before Charles evicted them, or rather let the lease expire. However, there is good argument to be made that perhaps the UK is simply less of a threatening space for Harry and Meghan than the United States. But Harry firmly believes that the threat is very real and he needs protection. What threat? It doesn't make sense. But the general consensus is coming around to the fact that Harry is trying to use his kids to emotionally blackmail the king into intervening with RAVEC. It simply can't be done, and it shouldn't be done. A Sussex source claims that the late Queen intervened to allow Andrew to keep his protection. Why is it impossible for his dad not to do the same for Harry? I'm not 100% sure that's accurate. I think there may be some confusion here because Prince Andrew does still live on royal grounds in a royal residence at Royal Lodge. There is security around that area. I don't believe Prince Andrew just has armed security everywhere he goes in his private life. The fact that there is even any debate around Harry's security is unbelievable when you look at the situation. The late Queen made it really clear that she wanted him and his family protected. And while that may be what the Queen wanted and what the King wants now, it's still not up to them. This just demonstrates more of Harry's self-importance, overinflated ego, and once again, his paranoia that this is such a big deal that he needs all this extra security and extra fanfare around him when he doesn't deserve it and doesn't need it. Also, when it comes to not taking the calls, Prince Harry is the one who has leaked to the press time and time again. This is a little bit of a mischaracterization when it comes to the phone call thing because the king doesn't even keep a cell phone. So any calls would be coming through his assistants or secretaries. Really what's happening here is the king is not returning Harry's calls. But this makes sense. The late Queen Elizabeth also stopped taking Harry's calls because allegedly Harry is very unpleasant when he's on the phone with his family, constantly bringing up drama. He's never calling to just see how people are doing and try to rebuild the relationship and trust by just chatting, just having a little chat. Instead, he's always trying to get something out of them or complain about this or that. And while the king is obviously very busy being king, he's also probably a little stressed. He's going through a stressful time physically speaking. He's probably worried about Catherine and his son William, who are having a taxing time themselves. When he has time where he's not busy working, he probably wants to keep it to himself, rest and relax, not deal with Harry, and avoiding drama is good for him right now. On top of that, Harry would leak it. Harry leaks everything. And there was a phone call for King Charles's birthday, for example, or when Harry was over there for various occasions, like funerals, for example, or even when he popped over for a visit after King Charles's diagnosis was made public. Immediately following, all the details were leaked. You hear about every single detail of the phone calls, of the visits, of the car ride, of the conversations immediately following Prince Philip's funeral. Always ends up in the press. So why, especially now with King Charles, how he's feeling, why would he want to speak on the phone with someone when it's going to get out there in the public no matter what? Even just being like, hey, how are you doing today? If he were to be honest and say, oh, I'm not feeling fabulous, I am dealing with treatments right now, that would end up in the news. It's so disrespectful. What this actually comes down to is that Harry doesn't respect Charles or the rest of the royal family's privacy at all. So they simply cannot take his phone calls or cannot have a meeting with him or cannot be in contact with him at all, or else they are surrendering their privacy to Leaky, Harold, and the Meg. But I think the consensus for the public and even the media at this point is that the royal family and King Charles are definitely making the right choice by not taking Harry and Meghan's phone calls, to say the least. It was also reported that Harry and Meghan were not invited to Balmoral this summer. Shocker. These things are being leaked from Camp Sussex to try to paint Harry and Meghan as victims again, when in reality, the reason why they simply can't be invited comes down to that breach of privacy that Harry and Meghan have been doing for years now. Also, do not forget, Harry and Meghan have turned down invitation after invitation, and Harry makes a big stink about everything, the security stuff, etc. It's impossible to invite people like that for a break over the summer where everybody's supposed to be able to relax and enjoy themselves. It's time for question of the day from user HR something or other. Maybe it's just me, but I cannot recall a single occasion when anyone in the royal family has publicized anything personal about Harry and Meghan. It's true. And it's not just that the royal family have not divulged any personal details about Harry and Meghan, the way that Harry and Meghan have about the royal family. Remember, in Spare, Harry even included information about Prince William's body. Okay, you cannot get any more personal than that. But the royal family also doesn't leak things. They don't leak things about themselves, let alone Harry and Meghan. One of the main things that Harry and Meghan continually complained about when Megxit happened and over the last few years was that the palace was leaking things. They tried to say that the palace leaked negative stories about Meghan, when in reality, journalists found out negative stories about Meghan and ran with them. Regardless, they constantly tried to make it seem like people were leaking stuff about them. And since they've left, and while they were with the royal family, we hear all kinds of leaks from Camp Sussex about the Sussexes, how the Sussexes feel about this or that. Have they been invited to this or that? What are they going to do about this or that? Are they mad about something? What are their feelings doing today? We hear about the Sussexes constantly from the Sussexes. And the people we hear basically nothing from are the royals. We have no idea what they actually think or feel about almost anything because they simply don't put it out there. They actually live much more private lives than Harry and Meghan. Since Meghan left, the royal family haven't even had little leaks, let alone big leaks, and there has been big stuff that could have been leaked. For goodness sakes, this year especially, big major news could have been leaked from the royal family, but it wasn't. Not a peep about anything. When Meghan was involved and working with the royals, there were leaks constantly. What more proof do you need of who the actual leakers are? It's the Sussexes. They're the leaky ones. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you have a question for question of the day, be sure to leave it in the comments and leave your thoughts about this whole not returning the phone calls, and the rift between Harry and King Charles really comes down to security and RAVEC. What do you think about that? I cannot wait to read the discussion in the comments section. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you have a happy day ahead, and I will see you next time. Bye!